Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 29th of May. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which seems to be in a range, I suppose, from around 8680 is what we're expecting as the floor up to the 8800 zone. Still looking for this market to get up to the top of the broadening triangle from this time last year, basically around the 9000 level by the end of next month. Support below 8680 around the 8600 level, but not much to say there, apart from the fact that we've got the 50 and 200 day lines both rising, so that is a positive backdrop for this market. Moving on to the DAX, where the market actually holding up well. In fact, now we're generally holding above 24,000. The old resistance there from March, about 23,500, and I suppose that's the lower limit of where we expect this market to go. Top of the range, hopefully the top of that rising trend channel 24,700, which could be hit by the end of next month while we're above the 23,500 zone. Moving on to Bitcoin, which is obviously in focus with the Bitcoin Treasury Brigade, but here got support around the 106 area, trading normally either side of the old January peak there at 109, and still looking for the top of that channel as high as 123,000, perhaps by the end of next month. We're in the aftermath of a golden cross signal there between the 50 and 200 day lines, so hopefully that's supportive, as is the 106 zone as well. Moving on to gold, and here you can see that we have dropped out of that very steep rising trend channel, so maybe that has to be redone, but we have the situation where the 50 day line has come in support twice in the recent past, first in April, where we were actually too strong even to touch it, and then earlier this month, two dips towards that 50 day line. So expecting another 132.17, and probably looking for this rising trend channel to be rather less steep than it has been drawn previously. So probably looking for a trajectory along the lines of what I'm drawing at the moment. So towards 3,800, but by way of the 50 day line there around 32.18. The other point to note, I suppose, is if you're not really in the mood to try and guess where this might bounce, you would just wait for a break of that resistance line there from last month. That's currently around 33.50, so end of day close through that, but then suggest we're off to 3,800, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Negative at the moment is the way the RSI just pushed below the neutral 50 level, but that's supposed to be, I suppose that is to be expected given the stalling that we've got at the moment. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with Avacta, where the board appointments at the beginning of the week have done the trick. We've actually gone up to our second level. So the first one was the 50 day line 35, the next one 39 pence, which is obviously what we've hit at the moment, and then looking for the old resistance from March, 45 pence, hopefully over the next week or so, while we're above that 50 day moving average at 35 pence. But it was a bear trap gap reversal, and the gap there followed through very well by the stock. So it looks as though Avacta in better shape at the moment than it has been for quite some time. Moving on to Audioboom, which has been a bit of a nightmare in terms of the pullback from that rally in February, but we are back above the 200 day line now. We're back above the 50 day line as well, above at 387, and above that, looking for a resistance line projection from back in December as high as £4.70, hopefully by the end of next month or even sooner. Next on the list is Atome, which I suppose not many people look at, but it's a very nice pattern that we have here, inverted head and shoulders, gapping through above a rising 50 day line, so that indicated the momentum through 44 pence, and above 44 pence, we were looking for 53 pence as an initial target. That's also the 200 day moving average level. Now we can upgrade that to as high as 63 pence by the end of next month, the upper parallel of that broadening triangle. We had the multiple bounces at RSI 50 as well, backing up the gap, and the rising 50 day line, so looking good above 44 pence. On to BSF, where I see that a noteworthy stock person on X has highlighted the shares today. Here we've got the shares bouncing off a now rising 50 day line, which tends to be a good signal when it's near the lows. RSI is pushed above neutral 50, so looking for the stock to at least get back to testing the 4 pence area post, well, basically 2025 resistance, hopefully by the end of next month. If you're cautious, I suppose you wait for the 200 day line to break, but obviously that would be giving away some of the upside ideally this is a situation where support keeps coming in towards the 50-day line and 2 pence. On to Bezant, where there's a slight change of configuration here. Looks like we've got a rising trend channel base. Nice rebound hammer candle off the floor of the channel yesterday. So that was around the 0.021 level. Looking at the top of the range, 0.038, perhaps by the end of next month if things get a move on. But obviously this is a relatively slow situation. Moving along to one of the stars of the day with a decent RNS as well, which is Blue Star. And I can see by the trend lines there that I was obviously anticipating that this would go up. The obvious target here is 14 pence, the old 2025, initial 2025 peak. And after the bear trap island reversal that we've had gapping down and gapping up, should at least get to that zone. If you're a fan of the shares, you'd be looking for the gap to be filled up to 14.5 pence from back in March last year. And then hopefully nothing to stop the shares above 14 to go up to 25 pence, maybe over the next month or so. Hopefully 25 pence by the end of June, while we're above recent resistance around the 8 pence level. Moving along to Mosman, which has had a decent rebound today. People obviously recovering from the placing that undermined the share price. Here we've basically bounced at the 50 and 200-day lines and that old broken resistance line there from August, around the 0.039 level. Above that, the initial target obviously 0.05, and then hopefully the shares will then keep moving from that point. If you're cautious, wait for the RSI to get back above neutral 50, hopefully sometime later today. On to Metals One, where the bears must be rather frustrated because even though we've had a couple of rug pulls, shares have remained within that rising trend channel. For the channel currently or nominally at the 40 pence level, so above 40, still looking for the shares to take out the old peak at 55, well, just shy of 55 pence, perhaps head into the 60s by the end of next month. But the key here is holding that 40 pence level on an end of day close basis. Petro is a stock that we cover quite frequently, and you can see why here with the turnaround that the shares have got. Rising trend channel base there, top of the channel heading for around 3.1 pence, and more confidence instilled by the unfilled gap to the upside that we've had today. So above 2 pence, looking for 3 by the end of next month on Petro. Decent announcement today, decent reaction from for Priority One. Here we've had a bear trap rebound. We've also had bullish divergence. So bear trap, but then the shares going lower, but then the RSI higher than it was when the shares were higher up, if that makes any sense. Top of the range here around 7 pence, hopefully, as a best case scenario target if we can close above recent support. The initial May support at 2.75 pence. The key is holding 2.75 pence. On to one of the no smoke without fire stocks, which is today not Upland, but actually Phoenix Copper. Here we've got a rising trend channel base, and really looking for the shares to get back above recent resistance around 3.75 pence on an end of day close basis. That could at least then take them back up to the 5 pence zone, hopefully by the end of next month. But obviously the market waiting for funding news on that situation. So that is the big binary bet on that situation. Pantheon has been even more painful perhaps than Audioboom, with the rug being pulled not once but twice. But it's a bear trap rebound from below November support, which was a potential scenario at 21 pence. And while we are above 21 pence, looking for the gap to be filled up to 40 pence. Hopefully if the company doesn't talk too much about finding or not finding oil. On to the last situation here, which is Shearwater, and here we're just shy of that target we had there at 50 pence, or just above 50 pence, maybe 50.5, and that was a broadening triangle. Above that, above 50 pence on an end of day close basis, looking for as much as 67 pence by the end of next month, backed by the way that we've had unfilled gaps to the upside off the low, and very strong candles as well. You can see most of the candles since the beginning of the month have been opening at the low and closing at the high. So that is normally suggests that somebody is getting their checkbook out to buy shares. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.